Today's program is called Legends of the Moon, and it is the first concert of the Chamber Music on the Mountain Summer Festival 2021. Chamber Music on the Mountain is a new concert series, part of the Creative Spaces Northwest Arkansas program at Mount Sequoia Center. Chamber Music on the Mountain is committed to offering imaginative concert programs and making classical music more accessible to the residents of Northwest Arkansas. Thank you guys so much for spending a summer morning with us. I would like to introduce Tomoko Kashiwagi with Chamber Music on the Mountain.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning. Welcome. I am so glad that you're here to join us today. This is actually a very, very special event. I was looking up at the moon last night and I thought, it's beautiful. It's beautiful sky, and we get to actually experience some of the magic of the moon today. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the program. We have 3 parts to today's program. We will start with a storytelling by our guest, Gail Ross, which I will introduce in just a second. The second part of the program is a Native American flute player, and I will also introduce her before she comes on. And at the end, we have a piece that combines the storytelling with the music. So before each of the sections, I will come and make sure I will introduce the performer and what they are about to play. So first part is the storyteller. Gail Ross is an enrolled member of the Cherokee Nation and a direct descendant of John Ross, principal chief of the Cherokee during the Trail of Tears. Her grandmother told stories, and it is from this rich Native American heritage that Gail's storytelling springs. During the past 25 years, Gail has become one of the best loved and most respected storytellers to emerge from the current surge of interest in this timeless art form. I will let Gail tell you about her story, what she's about to tell you, but then please welcome Gail to the stage.
Osio Nagada, Dohiju. Hi guys, how you doing? Osio, can you say that? Osio, that means hello in the Cherokee language. Nagad, friends gathered together. Dohiju means how are you? And if you're doing good, you say Osta. Osta, good. You're going to hear a lot of stories about the moon. This is in this program with this wonderful composition called Moon Strike. And I want to start with one that's a little different. Most tribes believe that the sun is male and the moon is female. She is associated with women. But my tribe, the Cherokee, we see things a little differently. The sun is all-powerful, makes all life possible. Of course she is a woman. The moon is good-looking, doesn't do much. Of course he is a man. Well, there's another tribe on the southwest coast of Alaska who also believe that the moon is a young man, and this is women who fell in love with him. You see, a long, long time ago, these 2 girls, well, today we would call them cousins because their mothers were sisters. But in the ancient clan way, they were as close as sisters themselves. And as they grew, well, they were bright, strong, talented girls, making the spruce baskets, harvesting the berries that the people ate in the winter, hunting in their little 2-person kayak. And when the time came that they were old enough to be married and they had the chin tattoos of their people, well, they weren't interested in any of the young men in their village. They weren't even interested in any of the young men on the coast. They lived on Kodiak Island. Because you see, these 2 girls had fallen in love with the moon. Every night they would go down to the gravel beach, they would turn their kayak over and lean back against it and watch the moon cross the heavens, saying things like, "Now that is a handsome man. I wish I could marry him." Now, one night, the girls were at the beach. They hadn't been there very long, and all of a sudden clouds came up and covered the moon. And they said, "Oh, why is he hiding his face?" And then they heard the sound of footsteps coming up the gravel beach. And out of the darkness emerged a tall, strong young man, and he had a great glowing mask on his face. "I am the moon," he said. "I have heard you girls talking, and it so happens I need a wife. I will marry one of you." Well, the girls linked arms and they said, "We have never been separated, not so much as a night, from the time that we were little. If you would marry one, you must marry both." He said, "It's a long journey to my home, and life with me will not be easy. I will marry the one who is the most patient." And the girl said, "Oh, we're both very patient." And finally he agreed. And wrapping their long hair around his wrists, he cupped them by the back of the head and lifted off and began flying through the heavens. As he lifted off, he told them, "Close your eyes. You are a mortal woman. It is not given to you to follow the path I walk. Close your eyes and keep them closed until we reach my home." Well, he was right. It was a long journey, and one of the girls grew impatient. "I will open just one eye, just a little, to see where we are." But when she opened her eyes, she found herself falling. The long hair had slipped from her head, and she fell all the way back down to that gravel beach. And it was a long time before her hair grew back, time that she spent mourning for her sister because that young woman kept her eyes closed. Now, when they reached the land of the moon, he took her into his fine house. He showed her all the different rooms. But in the room that they would share together, there was a big, heavy curtain hanging across one door. He pointed to that curtain. He said, "That is the room where I keep the things I need for my job. You must never go in that room. Don't even lift the curtain and look." And the young woman agreed. And so they were married. And at first they were very happy together. The moon was a kind and gentle husband. But she never knew when he would be leaving, how long he would be gone. And when he wasn't there, it was lonely and boring. Back at home, there had always been work to do and many hands to make that work light. But here, when he was gone, she was alone. And she began to complain. "Why must you leave me so often? Why must you stay away so long?" And he would say, "It is my work. Just be patient. Be happy with the life you have." But she couldn't. One night, after he had gone away, she said, "I have not even gone out and explored this new country where I live. I am going to go on a walk and see what I can see." And so she started walking away from the house, and she came to a place where many trails branched out and stretched in all four directions. And delighted, she picked one of those paths and followed it to the end. And there was a human being there, lying on the ground with their face in a hole in the dirt. She ran up to him and said, "Talk to me. I have been so lonely. Talk to me." But he wouldn't. She picked another trail and another and followed it, and it was always the same, a man or a woman lying on the ground with their face in a hole. And finally, she grew so impatient, she kicked one of the people with her foot. He lifted his face from the hole, and she saw that he had one great glowing eye in the center of her forehead. "I'm working," he said, and he put his face down in the hole, and she ran back to her house very fast. But once she was in the house, she started thinking, "I am his wife. This is my house too. I don't see why I can't see that room. It's my house too." So she went into the bedroom. She went over to the room with the curtain. She lifted the curtain back, and there on the wall were all the great glowing masks that her husband wore when he traveled the skies, from the tiniest sliver of a new moon all the way up to the full moon, and then waning again to the dark of the moon. She saw the place where the half-moon mask he had worn that night was missing. And as she looked at those beautiful masks, she couldn't help it. "I wonder what it's like to carry the light on your face." So she reached up, she took the full moon mask and put it on her face. It was amazing. But then she heard footsteps coming up the gravel beach, and quickly she tried to put the mask back where it belonged, but it was stuck there. It would not come off of her face. Terrified, she ran out of that room, ran over to their bed, and threw the fur coverings over her head, just as her husband walked in the door. He looked at her there, under the fur coverings. He said, "Wife, are you okay?" From underneath the fur, she said, "I have a pain in my face." He walked over, he lifted the fur coverings back, and there she was, with the full moon mask on her face. And he knew she had disobeyed him. She had gone into that room. She had touched one of those masks. But when he saw her with that mask on her face, he couldn't help it. He started to laugh. He laughed and he laughed. He said, "Here, let me help." And he reached down and he took the mask from her face and carried it in and put it back on the wall where it belonged. He said, "I can see that I have been wrong. You deserve to have work that you like. I'll tell you what kind of work we can have now, because you have shown me that you can carry the masks every bit as well as I. We will split the work. I will carry the masks from the sliver of the new moon up to the full, and you can carry the masks from the full moon, waning and waning and waning to the dark of the moon." And they were very happy again, because you see, they had shown one another mutual respect, mutual love. So when you look up into the sky, if it's a waxing moon growing larger, or if it's a waning moon growing smaller, all you have to do is look up in the sky and you will know that's the man carrying the moon, that's the woman carrying the moon, because ever since that time, they have shared the job of carrying the light through the heavens. Wado, thank you.
Please give Gail another round of applause. Thank you. Now we actually have another special guest today. Gaby Nagel is a citizen of the Eastern Band of Cherokees, and she lives in Farmington, Arkansas. She was first introduced to the Native American style flute at age 10 after finding the wooden instrument at a local event in Fayetteville. That fateful night led her to meet her flute instructor, and after a short time, it was clear that Gaby was a natural and had God-given talent for the flute. She has competed in and won several competitions around the United States, one of the largest and the most prominent being the Musical Echo Flute Players competition in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where she was the first female and the youngest competitor to win. Having released one CD already, Native Dreams, Gaby's plans are to continue to see where this instrument and music takes her. She's expanding her musical horizons by learning to play the piano and guitar as well. Gaby says, playing the flute, I feel like I am honoring my ancestors. It is a pleasure to hear her play. Gaby?
I started playing flute when I was 10 years old, and I have gone on a lot of amazing journeys with this flute. This next flute I'm about to play is actually called a drone. It's two flutes basically in one, and it's a double chamber, and whenever I play both of the chambers, you can hear both of the flutes happening. So the night that I actually first met my flute instructor was actually at the farmer's market, and he was selling flutes. And that very night I was the only person that really went up and like started talking to this man, and he just moved down here. And so this was the very first flute that I actually bought from him. This thing has stuck with me for 8 years. As many times as I've dropped this and almost lost this, it's stuck by me. So playing the flute, as Tomoko said, that I feel like I'm honoring my ancestors, it's true. Because whenever I was younger, way before I was born, women weren't allowed to play flutes. And so since the tribes are becoming more progressive, women are actually starting to drum and play flutes, and we're allowed to fancy dance and everything like that. So I feel like I'm helping my tribe become more progressive, and by playing around and honoring my tribe, I'm Eastern Band Cherokee, but I'm also Oneida and Creek. So this last song I'm going to finish out with, I'm going to have accompaniment from my background music, and it's going to be on my next CD. It's called Breeze.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gabby. It's such a beautiful sound. And after the whole program is over, Gabby is going to be outside of the entrance door, and she can actually show you some more flute that she brought with her. So don't rush as you're exiting after this program. We're having a bit of a stage set change, and when we're doing that, for those of you who are joining us from live stream or from recording after the show, we are in the event center in the Fayetteville Public Library, and we are actually borrowing the stage for musical Matilda, which has been going on for the last few weeks. So we have all the books, and we are very grateful that the public library actually gave us a full moon today. Now you notice, yes. So before this, in Fayetteville, basically a year ago, when we were feeling a little bit stuffy and staying at home during the pandemic, at 8 o'clock at night, we used to go outside and we did something. I did it with my dogs. We used to go outside and howl. So, to set the mood for the next piece, I want to hear a nice howling, the one that fits what Gabby played, not the one that hurts anybody. A nice howling from our audience. Can I hear a nice howl?
Pretty good howl.
I'd say so. I actually got a little goosebump from that. Thank you. So, for the last part of this program today, we are going to perform for you Moonstrike. It is a piece composed for the Apollo Chamber Players commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing and featuring American Indian stories with a live narrator. We're welcoming back Gail on stage. It was composed in 2019 by a Chickasaw classical composer, Gerald Tate, who lives in Oklahoma. Moonstrike involves 3 diverse American Indian legends, includes traditional songs, and is bookended with an arrangement of Calusa corn dance. For Southeast Indians, the green corn dance took place during the annual fall harvest moon. The 3 stories that Gail will tell you are: 1, origin of the moon; the 2nd, the man who married the moon; and the last, Raven steals the moon. Today's musicians are Meredith Hicks and Miho Odasakon on violin, Daphne Gerling on viola, and John Rook on cello. Please enjoy.
Osio Nagad. My name is Gail Ross, and I, with the help of our wonderful string quartet, are about to tell you stories of the moon. What is the moon? Where did it come from? How did it get there? Like every culture around the world, American Indians have many different stories of the moon. But one thing is certain, the moon is a very valued and coveted being. Long ago, when the world was young, the moon was a plaything of the animal tribe of people. One day, Coyote spoke up loudly to Antelope. Let us go and steal the moon. Now, when Coyote who had 8 sons, and when they reached that open space where the animal people were rolling the great round ball, the boys hid themselves at one end of the field, and Coyote went away, certain they knew how to do this. But the animal people knew the boys were coming to steal it. They rolled it toward the boys, certain that it was too heavy for anyone to be able to take it away. But the Coyote brothers, they took turns one at a time. They kept it rolling, rolled it all the way home. But the owners, they caught up with the Coyote brothers and they killed them one at a time. Then Antelope Brother took the moon and told Coyote that his sons had been killed. Coyote cried loudly, "Put that fire out and bring me the moon." Put that fire out and bring me the moon. They obeyed him and told Coyote they could take the moon back to its owners, and they gave him his sons, restored to life. One day, Woodpecker said to his grandmother, "Let me go and steal the moon." Now, when the moon people saw him coming, they knew his purpose, and they began to laugh. "Roll the moon towards that little woodpecker," said one of them. "Let's see what he can do with such a heavy thing." Now, when the moon reached the little woodpecker, he lifted it with difficulty and staggered off with it. And again, the people laughed. "Let him go as far as that ridge, but if he passes over it, we'll kill him." They did not know that Woodpecker was very clever. When they reached the top of the ridge, they saw him and the moon at the top of the next hill. Woodpecker had rolled the moon down the first slope and its momentum carried it almost to the top of the next slope. And Woodpecker flew over the valley and pulled the moon the rest of the way. The people ran after him until they were tired out, and Woodpecker rolled the moon all the way to his home. And sadly, the people started home without the moon. "Let us make a new moon," they said, "and we will put it into the sky." "Who will be the new moon?" someone asked. They decided Yellow Fox should be the new moon, and Yellow Fox agreed. They put him up in the sky, but Yellow Fox wanted to shine day and night, and he made the days so hot they had to take him down. So they asked Coyote, "Do you think you would make a good moon?" "Yes, of course," he replied. "I would like to see them be the moon, for then I can see everything." So they put Coyote in the sky. He did not make the days too hot, but he did see everything. And whenever he saw anyone doing anything wrong, he would call loudly the name of that person and what the wrong thing was that they were doing. The people who wanted to do things in secret demanded Coyote be taken out of the sky. Nachuruchu was a leader of his people. He was an expert weaver, wise in the ways of medicine, young and tall and strong and handsome, but he had no interest in the village girls who were in love with him. He was very happy with his weaving. The two sisters, the Yellow Corn Maidens, they were desirous of him, but with evil intentions. But they worked very hard to get his attention. "Enough," said Nachuru. "In 4 days I will marry. I will hang my pearl gourd outside of my home, and any woman who chooses may throw their finest cornmeal at the gourd, and she whose meal is so well ground that it sticks to the omate, she shall be my wife." The village girls were very excited. They got right to work. Now, before she lived in the sky, Moon was a maiden of this village, but she was away on an errand when the announcement was made. She did not return until the 4th day, and the Yellow Corn Sisters teased her. They were certain they would win the competition. When the time came, all the maidens, including the Yellow Corn Sisters, tried throwing their cornmeal at the omate, but nothing would stick. And then the Moon tossed her cornmeal gently against the pearl omate, and every grain stayed. Not one fell to the ground. Nuchuruchu was so excited. He had already loved the Moon, and now his life was perfect and complete. He and his sweet Moon wife were very happy together. The Yellow Corn Sisters they were not happy. They betrayed Moon by tricking her into staring at her own reflection in a deep well. They pushed her into the well and buried her alive, killing her. In his grief, Nachurachu went to her grave and found a white flower growing from the buried well. He took it home and he sang and he prayed to it 5 times. And his song was so beautiful and his prayers so powerful. Moon arose from the flower and came back to life as lovely and as fair as ever. But there was still the matter of the sisters. Moon hunted down the yellow corn sisters and turned them into 2 snakes. Moon told the sisters, "Your new home will be the rocks and the cliffs of the desert, but you must never bite a person. Remember, you are powerful women, and you must be kind." Then Moon came home to her husband, and they were very happy together. There once was a village of people who lived by the sea. They were fishermen. They ate fish. There once was a bird named Raven who was very lazy. Instead of fishing for himself, he followed the fishermen and ate their fish. Caw, 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 he would say. Gimme, gimme, gimme. He was always hungry. He was insatiable. The people were kind to Raven. They continued to throw him fish, but it didn't matter. It was never enough. Gimme, 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 he yelled. More and more and more. It was unbearable. They grew tired of his begging. This bird is a pest. He's a nuisance and too overbearing. He will not leave us alone. And he eats half our fish. It's too much. Enough is enough, Raven. No more fish. Raven threw a huge tantrum, and his eyes grew red with rage. Caw, caw, caw. I'll get your fish. Raven started snatching all the fish from the people. He grabbed them from their nets, from their fish hooks, from their hands. I told you. Caw, caw, caw. At the next full moon, I will avenge myself. I'll get you. Later, at the end of the new moon, the people were enjoying their fire, telling stories, eating smoked salmon. I wonder what Raven is up to, they would say. I hope he's far away from us. We are afraid, said the children. The chief said, don't be afraid. He's forgotten all about us. Suddenly, they heard a mighty scream and beating of wings. Raven flew in and soared above them. Caw, caw, I'll teach you a lesson now. He soared high in the sky and snatched the bright, beautiful moon, carrying her away and leaving the earth in darkness. What shall we do? How can we live without the moon? They were sad and lonely, but 4 days later, they heard a cawing and a beating of Raven's wings. He had come back. Caw, caw, he sang. Will you feed me now? If I put the moon back where she belongs? Isn't that worth a lifetime of fish? So be it, answered the people. What else can we do? Okay, Raven, it's a bargain. Raven pulled the moon from its hiding place, and grasping her with his beak, he soared high into the sky and put her back where she belonged. And now once again, she could bathe the night with her silvery light. I thought Raven was just a little insignificant bird, said the chief. But I see now just how powerful Raven is. Well, folks, there you have it. 3 of our legends of the moon. There are many, many more, and it is certain that as we begin our journeys traversing the stars, there will be many, many more to come. Messed up a little on the first one. Josh would know that. Nobody else but Josh.